Hi, this is Mike Clausen, president of Illumify Media, and I'm joined by Valerie Morris and Jen Clark. Jen is our operations director and author advocate. Valerie is our promotions and our marketing director, and this is going to be your Illumify onboarding introduction. And part of our idea is just to set expectations, give you a broad overview, answer some preliminary questions, make this as simple as possible. So, like I said, Valerie's roles are everything related to book promotion. Operations are everything. Basically, I bring in authors, and then Jen is like the hub of the wheel, and you go to her for questions. She's your key person, and then when you're done with her part, then Valerie jumps in and does your book promotion. So. But your first person of contact is Jen. So there are three phases that we take our authors through. The first is the editorial phase. That includes book coaching, and sometimes it's just meeting with me and I give you my thoughts and assessment on your manuscript, and we meet periodically, and then it goes into copy editing. During that editorial phase, the copy editor is going to look at your manuscript, they're going to mark it up. My suggestion to authors is don't accept all the changes that the copy editor makes. Just take about 85% to 90%, or else it'll suck the life out of your manuscript. Nothing to diss on copy editors, but that's just the nature of the role. Then after editorial, then your book goes into production. Now during the editorial phase, you're working with Jen, you're working with the editorial director. Then you go into production. That's when the editorial director is going to work with your manuscript. They're going to format it, make sure all the formatting is consistent, ready for the typesetter, and then the person turns it over to the typesetter. The typesetter is the person who does all the formatting. They do all the interior design. And the way that we work it is, we're going to get done with one chapter. You'll receive a chapter, a sample chapter. Then you can approve or disapprove of your sample chapter or make revisions to it. Then we send it back to the typesetter, and after about another 10 days, then you'll get the finished product. Then you're gonna find mistakes in there. That's just the human nature. And you're going to revise it. You're going to mark up the PDF that you receive, send it back to the editorial director. They send it to the typesetter. Then you want to make sure all those changes have taken place. Sometimes we bring in a proofreader if that's your desire. I highly recommend it because it's always going to take your manuscript another level. The proofreader then comes in and proofs the PDF just to make sure there's no typos, another set of eyes. And it's usually a different person from the copy editor who does the proofreading. After that, then you sign off on a form that Jen sends you, and then it goes into promotion if that is in your package. Our first package doesn't include any promotion, and the other two packages that we offer do. So with that said, I'm going to turn it over to Jen. She's going to tell you what you do, what we do together.
So there will be some things that we have expectations for you, and that means bringing in the manuscript in a Microsoft Word document. That's so that we can have track changes. We can instruct you on how to look at it when you're doing those passes back and forth with the editorial director for copy editing. We also ask that if you are using any images or graphics, that you bring in high quality, high resolution images, 300 dpi, and that you deliver them with a photo log, which is addressed in the reference manual that I attached to your welcome email on what to expect in the publishing journey. And then any login information for your accounts, both for me, because you'll set up 2 author accounts, and then I'll need to upload your book files for you. And then we'll keep all that information private. And then any social media login information Valerie will need if she's doing social media or even launch team for you. So that's our expectation for you, and that you'll be as responsive, if responsive as can be. We certainly understand that life happens sometimes, and sometimes we even know an author's traveling, that we don't expect that kind of responsiveness. But if your expectation is that we're going to finish a book in 3 months, then we do expect you to be responsive. What we will do, we will try to be responsive. We'll try to respond to you in a timely manner, like 1 business day, and we do respect business hours, even though many of us work remotely. We'll offer you clear instructions for typesetting and copy editing. It is, for many authors, the first time, and this can all be confusing and overwhelming. Please be sure to ask clarifying questions if that isn't clear for you. And then what we will do together. If you would like us to collaborate or provide input, please request that. Otherwise, we understand this is your project. But if you want feedback on cover comps or your title, subtitle, back cover, book description, marketing ideas, we're happy to provide that, but upon request. All right. And then Valerie's going to talk to you about timeline expectation. We do move at your pace. And 3 months is our minimum from manuscript to market, but then more time would be needed beyond those 3 months for that next phase, which is promotion marketing. Valerie?
Yeah, that distinction between publishing, getting it to market, and actually promoting it and having an appropriate and strategic launch day, that is really important. And it's an important distinction to make. A lot of people have a hard time thinking about marketing while they're in the midst of all of the editorial process and the collaboration with Jen and the editorial team. And so as that starts to wane down, people can start to think a little bit more about marketing. And so there are strategic times that Jen and I are communicating throughout your process in the editorial phase to know when it's appropriate to start talking about marketing. When is it a safe time to say, yes, your book will be live and public and ready to launch on a certain date. We also are keeping in mind when I start talking to our clients about the marketing activities, I'm also keeping in mind psychological behavior of how customers and people within your network who are supporting your launch efforts, how they are going to behave. I've seen it all. I've seen it. I've done over 100 launches and managed over 100 launches myself at the time of this recording. And I have seen some people who are eager beavers and they're going to be done and ready to help you out. They will take action on the first email we send. And I see other people who procrastinate. I see people who have stressful things come up in their life that are out of their control, that require more time to grasp what we are asking them to do. And so a lot of the stuff that I am going to present as recommendations are based on that observation and experience of knowing, hey, we may technically be able to get a launch date organized in 2 weeks, but it is not ideal. Here's what I would see instead. So I'm going to give you my recommendations based on the logistics of publishing, of like when things will be live and ready to go, and also based on subjective, experiential backed decisions. And I'll give you my recommendations. We've had authors choose not to take our recommendations, and sometimes it works out meh, and sometimes it flops. And I'm happy to give you, my logic as to why I'm recommending one thing over another, but just know that we're going to be coordinating on timing there. And just because we can get to that publication phase within 3 months does not necessarily mean we need to tell the world about your book yet. Your book can sit kind of waiting in the wings while we build up all of the different things that are needed to build anticipation so that you have a successful launch. So I get it. You're excited about your book. Most people are. But if you're willing to work with us and this, tried and true processes that we've seen work over and over and over again, we want you to have the most successful launch that you can. And that's what we are working towards. So again, we will work at your pace in terms of like if stuff happens and things get delayed for whatever reason on your end, we can pick things back up and whatever, but like we have some rhyme and reason as to why we are going to recommend things based on a certain thing. And we also may push you. There are certain times of the year, especially as you gear up towards any sort of holiday season type of launch, we may push you to move faster at the beginning so that you for sure can launch before the holiday season kicks off. That's probably the biggest time of the year where we see like, hey, this is a hard deadline that if you want to make certain things happen, you need to be on board. And then also other activities around marketing. Like these things don't happen in an instant, and there's cadence and repetition into why we do what we do to help give you the best results. So we'll manage our timeline and work with you as best as possible, but there is method to our madness.
Well, and the ideal is to not rush it. When we rush our project, that's when mistakes happen, and people get stressed. You get stressed, we get stressed. So the ideal is let's follow the timeline, and we can give you a timeline at the beginning of here's how it's usually going to work, and then let's try to stay close to the timeline if possible. Sometimes there is rush jobs, but if we can avoid it if possible, that would be the ideal. Let me mention too that you're always free to upgrade your package. We've had people upgrade from our middle package to the works. We've had many times where people upgraded from the essentials package to that essentials plus e-promotion. Let me just say this: if you're an author and you signed a contract for the essentials package, you can always, on page 18 of the proposal that you receive, it gives you a list of the different add-ons you can add on. You can do it at a later date. And maybe you're in the middle of your book and going, well, I'd love to do some podcasting. I think this is good material. Let me know, and we can work things out with Valerie doing your podcast promotion. The launch team mobilization, I highly, highly recommend. It's been very successful that Valerie does. So if you're interested in learning more about this, about upgrading, just come contact me, and we can talk about it and figure out what's best for you. The promotion stage, and I didn't say this when I talked about the different stages, the promotion stage could last 3 months or even 4 months. And yet at the same time, I do want to say, we will get the ball rolling, but to keep that ball rolling is going to require the author. It's going to require you to keep pushing it. It's a lot of work. And we're here to continue the relationship even after our responsibilities are done in 3 months or whatever. We keep up the responsibility. If you want to make appointments with me down the road so we can talk about other ideas, other possibilities for your book, that's great. So do any of you want to add anything else to the discussion?
Just that it's a big process. If this is your first time, it can be a little overwhelming. There can be some things that don't make sense now, and that's okay. That's normal, and that's why you have a go-to person like me to check in with, to ask questions. I'm willing to meet frequently, and I should be, like Michael said, your go-to, your first person of contact. But we hope that this is a good process for you. We hope that you learn a lot. There is a lot to learn. And Michael says you're thinking of this as your business as an author, not just about the manuscript itself, but running this as a business is a really good mindset to have as we go along. And an eagerness to learn also will do wonders for you.
Yeah. Just excited to dive into it with everyone.
Yes, we are.
Look forward to working with you. Thank you for joining us.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much.